You remember the moment, not clearly, but it's there. A headline, a comment, a video you almost clicked, something about Bitcoin. You didn't ignore it completely. You noticed it. You paused just for a second. And then you moved on. It didn't feel like a decision. It felt normal. It felt harmless. But that moment, that small, almost invisible moment, wasn't neutral. It was a turning point. And the strange part is, you didn't even realize it, because from the outside, nothing changed. Your day continued. Your routine stayed the same. Your life looked exactly as it always did, but internally, something closed. A door you didn't even know was open, quietly shut. You didn't miss Bitcoin, you rejected it. And that realization, it doesn't feel good. Because if you rejected it once, what else have you been rejecting without noticing? It never starts with certainty. That's the first illusion. You think people who got in early were confident, that they knew something you didn't, but they didn't. They saw the same confusion, the same contradictions, the same noise. The difference is they didn't feel the same resistance. Because when something challenges your current reality, your mind doesn't analyze it. It protects you from it. Think about it. Every time you saw Bitcoin, something felt off. Too complicated, too risky, too unstable, too early. But none of those thoughts came from deep analysis. They came instantly, automatically, like a reflex. Because your brain wasn't asking, is this true? It was asking, does this fit the world I already understand? And when the answer was no, you didn't explore further. You moved away. Not because you're incapable, not because you're uninformed, but because something inside you chose comfort over uncertainty. And you didn't even notice it happening. Daniel remembers the first time he heard about it. It was late at night. Scrolling, half paying attention. A video popped up. Strange title. Something about digital money. He almost skipped it. Actually, he did skip it. But then it came back. Different video, different person, same idea. Bitcoin. This time he watched a little longer. Not much, just enough to feel uncomfortable. Because something didn't make sense, and not in a curious way, in a rejecting way. He felt like he was missing context, like he wasn't supposed to understand it yet. So he did what most people do. He dismissed it, not aggressively, not consciously, just quietly. He told himself, I'll look into this later. But later never came. Because the moment passed, and with it, the discomfort faded. Weeks later, he saw it again. Now it was bigger, more people talking about it. And this time something else appeared. A subtle feeling. Not curiosity, not excitement, resistance. Because now, if it was real, then ignoring it earlier meant something. And that thought was harder to face than the idea itself. So he rejected it again. But this time, it wasn't just confusion. It was protection. Stop. This isn't about Bitcoin. It never was. Because the same pattern shows up everywhere. Opportunities, ideas, changes. Anything that doesn't fit your current identity key gets filtered out. Not because it's wrong, but because it's unfamiliar. And unfamiliar feels dangerous, even when it isn't. You tell yourself you're being rational, careful, logical, but most of the time, you're just being consistent with your past. And that consistency can quietly trap you. Because every time something new appears, you don't evaluate it from zero. You compare it to what you already believe. And if it doesn't match, you push it away. Not aggressively, just enough to move on. And that's the problem. The rejection doesn't feel like rejection, it feels like common sense. You didn't miss Bitcoin, you filtered it out. And the filter is still active. Wait, what if the real problem isn't what you don't know, but what you instantly dismiss? That changes everything, because now it's not about learning more. It's about noticing what you avoid. Every time something challenges your worldview, there's a microsecond where you decide, stay or move away. And most of those decisions are invisible. They happen too fast to question, too subtle to notice, but powerful enough to shape your future. Daniel didn't realize this, not at first. It took time, distance, perspective, and one uncomfortable thought. If I ignored this, what else have I ignored? That question stayed with him. It didn't feel good, but it felt real. And once you see that pattern, you can't unsee it. You start noticing it everywhere. The hesitation, the dismissal, the quiet rejection, not just with money, but with growth, with change, with truth. And that's when something shifts, not externally, internally. You stop asking, what should I learn? And start asking, what am I refusing to see? And that question is uncomfortable, but it's also where everything begins to change. That moment you almost remember, it wasn't random, it was a signal. Not about Bitcoin, about you, about how you process uncertainty, about how you respond to the unknown, about how easily something important can be dismissed without resistance. You didn't need more information, you needed awareness. And that's the part no one tells you, because it's easier to talk about opportunity than to talk about avoidance. If this feels familiar, it's not an accident. It means something is shifting. And that's usually where things start to change. But the real question isn't about the past. It's about the next moment. The next time something feels slightly uncomfortable, slightly unclear, slightly unfamiliar, will you move away again? Or will you stay just a little longer? Because that's where the difference is made. Not in big decisions, but in small moments that don't feel important at the time. And if you start noticing them, everything changes. Or maybe you'll ignore this too.